Hey everybody, GameHounds podcast. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick DiNicola. We are back. Sorry about last week. I forgot what kind of chaos happened, but it was a week. Wasn't it?
I was on a plane,
Oh,
so
you
I
were on a
couldn't do
plane.
it.
That's right. You were
Yeah.
on a plane. So yeah, that was a thing. So Nick is actually in Florida, which is, or as he describes it,
Floridia.
Floridia. Floridia.
No, Floridia.
Yeah, oh, Floridia.
Sounds like a fantasy place.
It does. It's Floridia.
Elves, all the elves and dwarves and rangers and magic.
So, yeah, he's in Florida with his soon-to-be mother-in-law, and by soon, I just found out by the end of the year, Nick, I'm not sure where he is on your screen. Nick, that's
You're
where he is
you're
on my
you're
screen,
that
but I
way
think
from
he's
me.
that way on, yeah. Anyway, he's going to be a married man by the end of the year.
Yes.
Beginning of October is the date, which is awesome.
Yeah, it required us to basically go. We kept trying to plan a wedding one way and kept running into all these logistical issues. So like, screw it, throw all that away.
Yeah.
Just do it smaller,
Yep.
and immediately it's like, oh well, this everything just came together in a
Very
weekend.
quickly, yeah, yeah, it's
And
amazing what happens when you're actually doing the not to say the right thing, but when you decided to rethink the entire plan and throw away kind of like, just trying to simplify it, and it
yeah,
came together, so that's great, I'm very excited for you. So who's in the
thank
chat
you.
room? Hey, AC Wraith, welcome to the chat room, thank you very much for reminding everyone, we are Patreon funded, 100% Patreon funded, every little dollar counts. Speaking of a dollar, we only ask for $1 a month, 25 cents a show, more or less, for this, and it helps us pay for all the subscriptions that make this happen. Also, if you're watching right now on Twitch or on YouTube or even on Facebook, don't forget to like, thumbs up, subscribe, whatever little things that you can hit, the buttons that you can press to make that happen. We would definitely appreciate it. So
And I
let's
guess now though is probably a good time to mention you will be out the next 2 weekends,
right. We are going to be dark the next 2
but
weekends.
I'm going to stream a VR game on PlayStation. So I'll
Perfect.
be on Twitch. You can't stream to anything else from the PS5, so I'll
Hmm.
stream from Twitch playing a VR game. I don't know which one yet. Maybe Resident Evil, maybe this like puzzle game that I've been trying to find an excuse to play, but I
Hmm.
can't break the spell of Kingdom Come.
Yeah. I wish I could have
So
the spell of Kingdom Come. It's
it's a nice spell to be under, but it's also
uh,
very time consuming.
but yeah, I am going to be in for the next 2 weekends in Utah. In Utah. We talked about this. Utah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Utah, right next to
Ooh,
Florida.
yes. Nowhere near Floridia. He is
No, no,
Utah, son of Utah.
Florida and Utah are neighbors
But
in my America.
but yeah, that's I'm going to be in Salt Lake City and there or abouts or around the Utah area for a week for spring break and for girls volleyball tournament. If you'd have told me a year ago that I'd be going to a volleyball tournament full of 13-year-old girls in Salt Lake City, was not on the dance card. Anyway, so let's do the music, and then we can actually start the show.
Okay.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now.
There it is.
Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 777. We are recording this on Sunday, March 30th, 2025. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick DiNicola, or maybe
Howdy.
that's correction. And he is in Florida, if that if you're listening on the podcast, that's why his mic sounds awful. I am still not in my
Yes.
house, still not around, not I still don't have a bathroom. And I don't have a bed in my apartment yet, but I have a bathroom with no bed. I have a bed with no bathroom.
I have, like, furnishing takes the longest. Oh, ooh. What just happened? Are we still in the chat? Am I still live? Are we?
I have no
what's-
idea what just happened.
Oh,
Something horrible
oh.
happened.
Okay. Oh, I can hear myself coming from your end.
Yeah, because I have to.
Hey, Nick, how's it
fix.
going?
There
Oh,
we
it's
go.
going pretty good, Nick. Thanks for asking. Looks like my other Nick died. Okay.
All right, so I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, it looks like it's wrong.
Oh, you sound a lot better now.
Okay, all right, there we go. That's much better. All right. Yeah, so what we were talking about before we were so rudely interrupted by StreamYard bumping me.
Oh, I was saying, I don't know anyone that's taken longer to furnish an apartment than you in this situation. It is one thing after another.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. It's one thing after another, and it has been repeatedly one thing after another for way longer than I ever anticipated.
I saw there's March Madness going on, and my in-laws are watching a lot of the games, and there was a movie trailer that came on that made me just sit and go, what the hell did I just see? Called One Battle After Another, and I feel like that applies to you. That applies to you in this situation. It's just one battle after another.
One battle after another. You get one thing sorted out. I was told 2 weeks ago I would have a bathroom. I was told 2 weeks ago. I was told 3 weeks ago that I'd have a bathroom by the end of the week.
They just say it each week. If they say it at the beginning of each week, eventually it will come true.
I have been told this week that I'll have a bathroom by the end of next week.
Okay. Oh, so now they're extending the timeline.
Now that would be a month after I was told I'd have a bathroom in a week. So anyway, let's not talk about my being functionally homeless at the moment. Let's talk about games. What have you been playing?
I've actually played a lot.
Good.
So because I was on a plane for a while, and because most of what I've done here in Florida is sit by a pool and play on my Odin, I've played through quite a bit. So for a long time, I got the Odin emulator because I wanted like an archive of old games. But for the most part, when I've played it, I've only been playing like one Switch game on it, which is Unicorn Overlord, which is a really cool game, but like it's also really long. And so this trip, I thought, I keep playing this one Switch game. I have this archive, this blockbuster video of old games on here. Let me find something else to play. So I started playing some PSP games. And I started with Dante's Inferno because a streamer that I watch had played through it recently. But she was playing through the console version and I was playing through the PSP version. So I thought, that'd be neat to see the differences between there.
Mm-hmm.
That may have been a mistake because watching the console version shows me how much I'm missing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the PSP version, it's decent. It's not the best, but it for the most part, it kind of plays okay. It's a little janky. There's one part in the console version where you're riding this like giant monster climbing a mountain. And in the PSP version, that's just a video. It cuts to video of the monster climbing a mountain, getting up top, and then when you jump off, that's when you regain control.
Mm-hmm.
And so for people that don't know, Dante's Inferno is exactly what it sounds like. It is an action video game version of the classic Italian literature story, Dante's Inferno.
Of the, what was it, 9 levels of hell?
Yep.
12 levels of hell? Something like that.
7. No,
Yeah.
9? I don't remember. I didn't actually beat the game. I got close, but then I got to a boss that just frustrated me to no end. That just felt janky and cheap, especially like the combat. Just there's a wonkiness to it where it doesn't feel quite smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like it feels like the hit detection is just ever so off. But on a character action game like this, you can't have the hit detection be off. Like you need that like pinpoint accuracy. And the specific boss was one where I had to like he would throw a sword into the ground, and I had to pick up the sword and hit him with it. But
Mm-hmm.
what if I went to pick up the sword? I would see the character pick up the sword, hit him, and then he'd keep walking 2 steps, and then he would react to getting hit. And I thought, oh, this is just it. It doesn't work. It's not good. The console version looks a lot. Oh my god, it looks so much better. And I would kind of like to go back and play the console version. Um, I don't think there's really any way to do that unless it's on. It might be on backwards compatible on Xbox 360. So
Maybe.
I might be
Maybe.
able to play it on the Xbox. But if I can't do that, then this is just one of those games that's been lost to time.
Yeah.
At least until Xbox 360 games start getting emulated. But so after getting really frustrated with Dante's Inferno, I thought, why am I playing the ripoff when I could be playing the original? And
Mm-hmm.
so I started playing God of War: Chains of Olympus. Uh, and that was the first God of War game to come out on PSP. And like has a quick history overview. God of War came out on like PlayStation 2, and they had a couple games, and then EA came out with Dante's Inferno, which was like a decent game on its own. Like by any measure standards, it was decent, but everyone just kind of said, yeah, this is a God of War ripoff. It
Mm-hmm.
was a God of War ripoff. Everyone knew it. It knew it. It never tried to hide that fact. And it did a pretty good job staying on its own. But oh, going to God of War: Chains of Olympus, as soon as I started up, I thought, this is what I've been missing. This is what it was supposed to feel like. This is like, oh, this is so good. The combat feels so smooth. It's immediately responsive. All of that hit detection, the moment my chains connect with an enemy, they react to it. It feels good to play. And as I got deeper into it, I was really impressed by the scale of it and how they were kind of able to get that God of War scale onto what was at the time, a pretty lesser powered mobile device. But the powers you get in the game are really, really cool. You get this really nice shield ability that parries. At one point, you get these gloves that like turn you kind of into a boxer, where every time you hit someone, it sends them flying back, and it just becomes such a nice way to blow through the hordes of small enemies that you face because
Mm-hmm.
you can just punch once and you send everyone flying back, and it feels good, and the story is surprisingly good for what is essentially like a pretty short God of War game. It's an interesting story that has interesting twists. It begins with like Morpheus, the god of dreams, is like breaking out of his bounds, and so the world goes asleep, and Kratos has to like save the gods because they've all fallen asleep. So it's up
Mm-hmm.
to him to save the gods from Morpheus, the god of dreams. But what that also means is like Kratos starts having dreams as well, and he dreams of his dead family. And that kind of becomes a whole point of the game of digging into like his past with his wife and daughter. And it's like, oh, this for a brutal action game that came out almost 15 to 20 years ago, like having just a little bit of character work, it fit. It's like, oh, this is actually really good. So that's cool. Then I am currently in the middle of God of War: Ghost of Sparta, which is
Mm-hmm.
the second God of War PSP game to come out. And it's a massive graphical upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
You can just immediately see it. It's like, oh, this is really, really impressive. This feels like a PS2 game on a mobile device. Unfortunately, I think everything else is a bit of a step backwards from Chains of Olympus. Olympus. It's still a good game, but it's like if Chains of Olympus is like a solid 8, Ghost of Sparta is a solid 7. Like whatever you would rank Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta has to be below it. I think the story is just less interesting. It has to do with Kratos trying to find a long lost brother, but there's not really any emotional hook there. The powers that you get are just largely less interesting than they are in Ghost of Sparta and largely less useful. The extra weapon you get this time, instead of like nice big boxing gloves, you get a spear and shield, and that just doesn't really feel all that unique from the chains that you have. The scale and scope of it is really cool, just because, like I said, it's a graphical upgrade, and so like what you're seeing here now is you're fighting like a giant bird and hacking through it as you fall through the sky. So it captures that scope and spectacle, but everything else, just the moment-to-moment gameplay, feels like a half step backwards from Chains, where a lot of the enemies you face can interrupt your attacks, and so it falls prey to the thing that has always annoyed me about these type of character action games. It's the reason why I never got into Devil May Cry, but I fell in love with the Souls-like genres, because these type of character action games are always based on combos. And I've liked God of War because the combos are pretty simple. It's always 3 buttons, right? Like X, X, Y, square, square, triangle. It's just 3 buttons and some combination of that. That's all. It's easy to remember them. But the problem is that you have to execute these combos. That's how you do a lot of your big damage, is you finish the combo and it ends with a strong attack. But a lot of the enemies in this game can interrupt that. And so I'm in the middle of a combo and I see I'm about to get hit, I block. So you have a 3-point combo, 1, 2, 3. I get 1, 2, and then I have to dodge. Then I go 1, 2, and then I have to block. Then I go 1, 2, and I have to dodge. 1, 2, and I have to block. And it's just, oh my God, I
It's
just want to
finding
get
that
this
exact
combo.
moment when you actually have the time to be able to pull off a combo.
Yeah. And because of the combinations of enemies and how quick they move and how they interact with each other, it doesn't feel like I have enough time to get that combo off. And so it constantly leaves me a little irritated. It feels really good to play other than that, but it's just, yeah, I think a Ghost Spot, it's still leagues better than Dante's Inferno. Let me be clear. Starting with Dante's Inferno was a mistake.
It was a good thing, because it makes you appreciate how good God of War, the first 2 Gods of War, would that be Gods of War? I guess it would be. First 2 Gods of War can hold up by
That's true.
comparison to others of that same genre.
If I started with God of War, I never would have played Dante's Inferno in the first place.
Right.
But yeah, it's still a very cool game, but I think Chains of Olympus is actually my favorite. I think Chains of Olympus is just a genuinely awesome game in every regard. Like, no caveats needed for like, it's on PSP. It's one of the high ones.
Yes, this is Goalies in the chat says, "Is this corporate, Nick?" Yes, this is corporate, Nick.
Goalie, we're gonna have to talk. We have been the company has been facing some downturns, and I would
And we
like
had
to
to make
talk
some
about
decisions that will better align the company with our future goals.
Yes, we need, and your performance has been called into question, not by myself, but by some other people. And I think we are going to have to look at other employment opportunities for ourselves that do not include you.
Shut up. Goalie says the cat behind Edie brings more energy to the show. This is Woody. This is essentially how Woody is. I could leave this room, come back in 8 hours, and Woody would be right there exactly where he is, not have moved.
Oh yeah, that he knows how to live.
This is standard Woody. This is like the most activity Woody will get into at any particular moment. You could just flop him over and he'll be fine. It's just, Yeah, he's a that's Woody. By people actually responsible for our downturn. Excuse me? What was this? What is he talking about? What'd you
Oh
say
yeah,
about?
corporate Nick,
Yeah,
Floridian Nick helped bring down
right.
GameHounds.
Yes, you did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I've been skimming money off the top of the Patreon.
and Goalie does say God of War on PS4 was great.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So,
that's all I've been playing. A bunch of
okay,
character action games.
that's good. I haven't played anything at all. I did see a movie that I do want to recommend. If it is
Okay,
your cup of tea, I went and saw the Penguin Lessons yesterday.
I've never heard of those.
It
No, wait, I
is
think I
Steve Coogan and Jonathan Pryce, and it's about it's set in the 1970s in Argentina on the cusp of a military coup in the country. And Jonathan Pryce is a headmaster of a school named St. George's, a boarding school. It's not a boarding school, it's a high-end English school in Argentina for elite families to send their children. And in the midst of the new English teacher arriving, played by Steve Coogan, a very depressed, misanthropic English teacher comes into this situation, and he's given kind of a class of sweat hogs, so to speak. They're kind of the lowest performing class, but these are all children of the elite, so they're a bit privileged, let's just say. And one thing leads to another, and this misanthropic teacher ends up being adopted by a penguin that
hmm.
won't leave him alone and follows him from Uruguay to Argentina, and he is hiding the penguin on the campus. And it's a very much a I don't want to say feel good story, but it is a very, very, very good story. Um, if only because you get to see what it looks like and feels like when people are disappeared in a fascist dictatorship.
Mm.
Um, so it was just a really good movie. I liked it a lot. But it's definitely not your big, summer action movie. It is definitely like you have to be into those like cerebral movies to actually like it. But I really liked it because I'm into those cerebral movies.
Cool.
And yes, I cried. Um,
Um, I've been watching Severance.
we just started it last
I
night.
finally got into it. I finished season one. I cannot believe that some people had to sit with that cliffhanger for 3 years.
Oh my god, really? Is it that good?
It took 3 years between season one and season two. But like when you get to that end, just imagine when that episode ends that was it. That you had nothing else. And imagine waiting 3 years.
Okay,
And
because we
you
just watched the first 2 episodes last night.
uh it's the kind of show that like it's interesting from the beginning, but it feels a little slow. Um, but it builds and builds and builds and builds.
Mhm.
So I've downloaded a bunch of episodes to my iPad, and I'll probably just watch like 6 episodes on the plane right back.
Right. Yeah, that's the nice thing about planes rides, long plane rides, is you can binge a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Also, if you're watching Severance, that means you
Mhm.
have Apple, and if you have Apple, you gotta watch Silo.
I am intending to watch Silo. The other one that I'm intending to watch is Adolescence. I have heard it's
I have heard excellent things about
very
Adolescence.
good,
Yes, I
but
also
it's
want to
only
watch
4
that one.
episodes, so
Yeah, that's at least an easy one.
yeah. So, shall we move on to news since I really don't have any. I mean, I have bought a TV console.
Oh,
You
you
know, the
bought a
thing
TV stand? Yeah.
I have bought that. It is on its way. It will be delivered next week. And I bought one that can accommodate a television up to 80 inches. So
Ooh.
that looks like I am taking the 75-inch television. I am getting absolutely zero support for 75 inches. A 75-inch television on a 77-inch wall is too large. I have not gotten any support on the concept of scale and grace for an aesthetic of your living room. I have got nothing but you need to put a screen on every single inch of a wall that you possibly can. So I'm just going to have to give up and do it.
I mean, it depends who you ask. I'm sure you can find some people to your cause.
Nobody I know. None of the people that I look to for support. You, Chaos, Chris, Ian, everybody is like, this is this, you see it like it's a bad thing. Like you would have a 75-inch television on a 77-inch wall. So
I mean,
I'm going to have a 75-inch television on a 77-inch wall.
good. You're welcome.
Don't even. I'm so unhappy about this. I'm so unhappy about this.
Look, if it, when all the chaos of moving is taken care of, you can upgrade to a smaller TV.
It's true. I might. But I mean, it's going to be very hard to upgrade to a better TV because I don't know that I could afford a smaller TV that is the same quality of this 75-inch.
Hmm.
It's an OLED. I don't really want to buy spend $1,000 on
Oh,
a
they're not. I don't think they're $1,000 anymore. TVs have gone down quite a bit.
OLEDs are like a 60-inch or a 55 or 50-inch OLED is still in the realm of $1,000. Name brand. I'm not talking about knockoff brand. I'm talking about like something like Samsung or LG. I prefer
Yeah,
Samsung.
generally, if you want OLED, LG is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. What next to Tesla? Fuck off. I have one of those. No, there's a thing now because I mean the amount of bumper stickers that are coming out in the Bay Area, but things like and I actually took a picture of one, but it didn't come out. Somebody had a bumper sticker that said, "I bought it before I knew what kind of creep he was."
I've seen a bunch of those.
I've been seeing a bunch of
too.
those. The other thing that I saw on Colbert last night that I haven't seen that I think is absolutely brilliant is people are taking, you can buy sometimes you could buy from a wrecker the logos from other cars, like on the trunk logo from the car. And they've been pulling off the Tesla one and putting on some other logo. Like Colbert, they showed a Tesla with an Audi logo on the back of it. Yeah.
That's funny.
I bought it
and
before I was told to be mad about it. Oh no. You didn't tell me I needed to be mad. I dumped all of my Tesla stock, and I will be frank. I had many tens of thousands of dollars in Tesla in many different accounts. I sold it all to a day and a wasn't the next day, but was the day after the Nazi salute. After that, nope. And I'm glad I did. Because I actually sold it when it was $400 a share.
yeah, you got out of the peak.
$200 a share, and Wells Fargo is now projecting it's going to hit $130 a share. So I did okay. I did all right.
Yeah,
I did okay. I walked away with a profit. Let's just say.
and yet you all right. When I was looking at LG 55-inch TVs, they're all just the one that you want is like just over 1,000.
Yeah,
But you
exactly.
can
It's like
wait for a
$1,100.
sale.
Yeah.
You can wait for a sale, and that'll come down.
Yeah, I don't really want to. I don't know that I'll have like
And the
1,000.
thing is,
Even I don't know that I'll have $700 that I want to drop on a television. Maybe sometime later, but not just yet. I'll live with the 75-inch and see how much I like it, and then see what other televisions the boy buys and then gets rid of his old
yeah,
OLEDs.
jeez, the horror. I have to live with the 75-inch TV. Oh
Well,
my god.
we will discuss how that may very well not. There might not be a lot of TVs in the immediate future. Let's just say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we do have to get into news.
All right. Well, then let's hit the. Yeah. Let's stand by. I need to see how I need to see what order we're doing the news in because not everyone in the house is privy to all of the news. So stand by.
Is there a door you can close? What? Goalie said it's amazing how inexpensive those huge sizes are now. Yeah, look. I was gonna say, like, oh yeah, LG is the one you want if you want an OLED. But honestly, if you're just looking at a 4K TV, like you can get a 60-inch 4K TV for like $300 to $400, and honestly, the difference you can't really tell it. I upgraded from a 4K TV to an OLED. It kind of looks the same. If I saw them side by side, maybe I could tell the difference. But like I'm telling the chat, Edie, like if you want an OLED 4K or just like a regular 4K, you're not gonna tell the difference. They both look really good.
Yeah,
So if you could
yeah.
just find like a $400 60-inch OLED, like a 60-inch HD, Ultra HD, like that's good enough.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah,
you
yeah.
you spent like the past decade on an SD TV, right?
No, I got 4K.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a 4K TV. I think. I don't know. I may. I don't know. It was.
Yeah.
I haven't had it for 10 years, have I? No, I haven't had it for 10 years, but I've had it a long time.
And yeah, AC Wraith is right. The programming, the OS on the TV doesn't get any better with the resolution. The OS will always suck.
That's true. That's why I like Samsung. Samsung's
Really?
operating system, I think, is much, much better than LG's. LG's is just a pain in the ass. Just a pain in the ass. I was dealing with that's one of the things I had to do this week is I had to go up to Sacramento because we opened a new floor in the same building that we're in. We used to be on the 10th floor. Now we're on the 10th and the 11th, and they put in a conference room, and they bought all this equipment, not actually big to do conferencing in the conference room, like teleconferencing with this giant LG television and this big old Logitech camera and stuff, not understanding that you can't just plug the camera into the TV because LG doesn't have a Zoom app on the television. You actually have to buy a computer. So I actually had to buy a Mac Mini and wall mount it so that I could plug the TV into the computer and the computer into the camera.
Yeah.
And they were just plugging it directly in the camera and didn't know why it didn't work. And it's like, this is why you bring me in before you buy a bunch of equipment. But yeah, anyway, I was very frustrated with the UI of LG. It's just not very good. It just really isn't. I mean,
It
it's fine
has-
if all you want to watch is Netflix and Disney Plus. That's fine. But if you want to do anything else,
That's
it
all
is a
I
pain in the
use it
ass.
for, simple apps. But I will say the LG TVs, the remotes are like motion censored, and so if you do it, you get the little cursor on screen. Hate it.
Hate it.
It sucks.
Absolutely hate it.
Every LG TV has that, and it's so annoying.
Yeah. Anyway, so shall we hit the news? We are cleared for
Yeah.
takeoff on all news items. So,
Okay.
where is it? And let me go down to it. Let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news. The news is a commentary of the gaming, and our first item is. I mean, you want to talk about?
Dreaming.
I'm sorry.
The cat is dreaming. I can see the little.
His little paws are going like this. Yeah, I've got the giant cat in the background, passed out on the floor. So
Yeah, cut out a little that time. But you can
the
start
big
the
news this week for me is very different than the big news for everybody else. And I don't know which one we should start with.
May as well start with the personal.
Okay, all right. So Crystal Dynamics on Wednesday announced that they were laying off 17 people. And the answer is yes. Yes, Chris lost his job. His first layoff he has ever had, other than the time that the pandemic studios shut down completely and everybody lost their job. He was one of the few 17 who were laid off, and the announcement was made to obviously the people first, but shortly afterwards, a public announcement was made by Crystal Dynamics that they shared on social media. They said that the layoffs are, quote, not a reflection of the dedication or ability of those affected, but the move will help the company realign to meet its current business needs. Quote, we recognize how painful this outcome is for those impacted, and we are supporting them with transition packages and opportunity outreach. This is a brief statement that was shared on LinkedIn with the announcement by a lot of employees that they had all lost their jobs. Quote, Crystal Dynamics remains committed to pushing the boundaries of making great games. This change does not alter our current project plans. Now, their current project plans, obviously, is they are doing a Tomb Raider reboot. Yeah, and then of course Perfect Dark is another one. The Tomb Raider reboot is being done in conjunction with Amazon Games. The Perfect Dark remake is being done in conjunction with the Microsoft as part of something kind of like Microsoft subsidiary called the Collective. Chris was working as a senior AI engineer for Perfect Dark. Now
I can finally say how shitty that game looked. Oh man, that gameplay video that they showed up.
No,
it just looked awful.
It
Absolute
looked
trash.
It absolutely looked great. I was
Trash.
very
Crystal
much.
Dynamics has never made a good game in their history.
Yeah. It looked great. I was looking forward to it. I was really, really looking forward to it because this is the first time I'd ever been involved with a game from kind of seeing stuff. I mean, I saw a lot of stuff that I didn't talk about, and a lot of times I saw stuff and closed my eyes. But actually seeing how games are made and kind of watching it happen without trying to ask any questions, because I never wanted to know anything about that game. And whenever he would start talking about work, I would be like, hey, please check yourself before you wreck me. I don't want to know, because I don't want anyone to ever suggest that I might have known. I want it all to come as a big surprise to me, along with everybody else. So as far as any of the inside details of what happened at Crystal Dynamics and how the decisions were made, I have no clue. And I have specifically stayed away from any of the private, because a lot of the information that was provided to these 17 employees is confidential. And I do not know. I was not shown, and I specifically avoided. So I don't know anything more than anybody else. The only thing I do know is what it's like from a 58-year-old engineer whose wife has died a year and a half ago to now be laid off. It sucks. It sucks. And it's something that I never considered. Is something that he said, one of the things, I mean, there's a lot that sucks about this, but one of the things that bothers him the most is that he had done a lot of work, because he works very, very quickly, much quicker, I am been led to believe, than a lot of the other people on the team. He's someone that can get his own work done and then help others get their work done, so everything stays on schedule. And he said, it really bothers me that when this game comes out, that somebody else will be able to take credit for
I was
the
going to
code
ask,
that I wrote.
does that mean his name won't be in the credits?
I don't know. I don't know.
For like blockbuster games that take 7 years to make, there's a lot of coming and going in those 7 years. And to think, like, you can work on a game for 6 years, then leave the company, and your name won't be in the credits for the game you worked 6
you could
7 years
leave
on.
the company. That's one thing if you decide that you want to leave the company.
But
That's one thing.
I think
But
either way,
to be laid off, and then, like, say a year beforehand, and like all of your codes, somebody else gets his name or her name as the credits, that I'm sure, I mean, it never occurred to me that that was kind of a thing, but that is a thing. Is it, I don't know if he's going to show up in the credits for this. He should, but he might not. I know nothing about when the release date is. I have know nothing about what stage it's in. Nothing. So I don't know even if it's like more than 50% done or if it's 20% done or it's 10% done. I have no clue. Didn't want to know. Don't know, didn't want to know, never asked, and specifically
We're very
avoided
different types of
anything.
people.
But it does suck. He's very, very, very unhappy. And in fact, as we speak, breaking the news to his 13-year-old daughter. So that is going to be an interesting thing because then, there becomes the personal issue of like, okay, you've got a 13-year-old daughter who's already gone through a lot in the last 2 years. And now for the first time, her father has lost his job. He's never been laid off of anything ever, except for pandemic when pandemic shut down. So
Yeah.
this is his first experience. And fortunately, I'm here. I've been fired for cause and laid off in the past. So I know, like, I saw him doing the things. It's like, okay, here's what's going to happen. In the next 2 hours, all of these things are going to go through your head. You need to trust me when I say stop thinking about them. Stop freaking out because in the next 48 hours, you're going to get more information that is going to make things that's going to put all of this in perspective. But right now, don't panic. Trust me. You want to panic? You want to figure out like what the hell am I going to do? The world's ended for me. Don't panic. Wait 48 hours. So we are now at the slightly after 48-hour stage. A lot more is known about his severance. And I mean, people were left. And that's one of the things that Crystal Dynamics said is, let's see, where did it officially said that they let's see, we recognize how painful it is. We are supporting them with transition packages and opportunity outreach. And yes, I can say that has absolutely happened. So
It was nice to
if
know
you're
that
ever
whenever.
laid off, my best advice to you, whether it be fired or laid off, wait for, especially with layoffs like this, don't panic. Do not freak out. Resist the whole catastrophizing of the situation. Wait 48 hours before you make any decisions, but file your EDD paperwork instantly. That's the only thing you should do immediately. Everything else, turn off your brain. Don't think about it. 48 hours is not going to change anything to make it worse. 48 hours will only make it better.
It's nice to know that when the corpo speak announcements have that information on there, that we're going to provide this other stuff, that they do, that it's not just bullshit.
Well, I don't know much because, like I said, I stayed away from a lot of the documentation. I did help with filling out the EDD paperwork because he's never done it before. I have. I've actually only done it once, but Kevin did it all the time because every time he was between movies, he went on unemployment. And then he got another movie and then he went on unemployment. So it was a back and forth. So
Contractor life.
Yeah, exactly. Even though he was an employee, that's still the same idea. When you're working on project-based employee, is that he would be essentially laid off and then rehired, laid off, rehired, laid off, rehired. That's how they structure a lot of these jobs in movie industries, and imagine also the gaming industry. So I'd had a lot of experience via him secondhand of him going through the process and what mistakes not to make, what you don't want to do, mistakes that can actually really fuck you over because you checked the wrong box. So I was there for him to help him fill out his EDD paperwork. That being said, I didn't stick around for any of the other paperwork. So I don't know what they gave as far as outreach. I get the feeling that it was like, here's a bunch of websites where you can go. So it's not really like they're not finding him another job, let's just say.
It's like, hey, here's a link to ZipRecruiter.
Exactly. You want to go to monster.com and ZipRecruiter and GameJobs.biz or something
I
like
don't
that.
know.
These the websites to find gaming jobs that everybody already knows about. But I'm also helping him update his LinkedIn, by the way. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, keep your LinkedIn updated because you never know when you might need it. So yeah, that definitely happened. The dude from Digital Trends says all the OLEDs start at a baseline of awesome and go up from there. Pretty much, they do. I mean, I've never
Yeah, so don't feel bad
I
buying
never
like
played
the
a game
cheaper
on an
model.
OLED before. I played Kingdom Come 1 on the original actually, I played Kingdom Come 2. No, I played Dragon Age on this OLED up here,
Mm,
and then I played Kingdom Come 1 on the OLED downstairs. Ugh, I mean,
really, that much
yeah,
of a difference.
from what my television is, my 4K TV, fuck yeah. Now,
Okay.
I've never played on anything other than a 4K TV and an OLED, so I don't know where the middle ground is on these, high def, UHD, whatever they are, machines. But yeah. AC Ray says there's likely records in the code comments. Big organizations shouldn't be playing it by ear. Yeah,
They shouldn't, but that doesn't mean that they don't.
yeah, yeah. So don't know what's going to happen. But if you want to know how people are doing, you can go to LinkedIn and you can see lots and lots and lots of people that were not lots of people. You've seen 17 people who were fired from Crystal Dynamics. And I'm kind of glad that it was that he was part of a relatively, by industry standards, a relatively small amount. 17 people is not a lot. But Crystal Dynamics is not a very big studio. I venture to guess it's about 10% of the company, maybe 5%. I don't know for certain, but it is a significant amount given the size of Crystal Dynamics. It is, if because it's only 17 people, it's not like thousands of people that are all flooding the job market all at once.
Yeah.
That being said,
Yeah.
what was it? The biggest indie studio there is, one of the oldest and biggest indie studios there is, the ones that made Myst, and I can't remember the name of the company. They just laid off half their staff.
No idea.
So, I mean, they're not a very big studio either, but that's, more examples of, you and I frequently talk about these layoffs.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time.
Right. Happens all the time. But we tend to focus on, hundreds of people or thousands of people. But there are all the time these smaller layoffs. Like if he and I were not dating, we would have never mentioned Crystal Dynamics because I probably wouldn't have even seen it because it didn't even show up on
I
VG
mean,
24/7. It
I
showed up
think
on
it,
PC
I think
Gamer. It
it
showed up on
did. Like
IGN and other
we would
things.
be talking about it because it's Crystal Dynamics,
Maybe,
but we
but
wouldn't have
I would
talked
have
about
missed
it.
it.
But there
I
are countless other layoff stories that we haven't talked about because it's a small
countless.
developer, or because at a certain point it's like
Yeah,
this is just repetitive news. Like
yeah,
you can only comment on layoffs
yeah.
a certain number of times before you just start repeating yourself.
Right, right. And this isn't the first time that Crystal Dynamics has had a layoff. Embracer was, they purchased Crystal Dynamics from Square Enix and got all of the IPs with it, along with Tomb Raider. That was
That was the
$2
company that made
million,
Myst.
and they actually bought, in addition to the studio, the rights to Deus Ex, Thief, and Tomb Raider. But in 2023, Crystal Dynamics had so they bought it in 2022. 2023, they had layoffs, around what they called redundancy, and that had to do with the acquisition, meaning that they had bought a whole new studio and that they kind of need everybody because there were redundancies, but they didn't really ever
Oh,
have.
Edie, you're going like robot in connection bad.
I'll wait. I will wait.
Um, Yeah, you were
Yeah,
talking
I saw that.
about. I don't know how my connection is, AC Wraith. So you'll have to let me know. I believe he was talking about how Embracer bought Crystal Dynamics and then bought them in like 2022, laid people off in 2023, and I think 2024 went through the whole uh, let's separate and create three different subsidiaries within us. And I think Crystal Dynamics broke off from Embracer. Are they still owned by Embracer?
Mhm.
Oh, they still are. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Then yeah,
am I better? Am I
Embracer
better
did
now?
the. Yeah, your video is still a little fuzzy, but I think your voice is
Okay.
good.
All right. So yeah, Crystal Dynamics is still part of Embracer, but remember that Embracer took all of their properties after the really bad night, because when the Saudis pulled out the night before their big announcement that they were going into a deal with the Saudis, um, they call it the rough night. Um, that they split off all of their properties that they own, all
Oh
their
wait,
studios.
you're still going a little iffy.
Mm, mm. But they split off into 3 studios.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay. That could actually be a good segue to the next news item. So so like Embracer just did, Ubisoft has done something similar, and that they have created a new subsidiary with Tencent as a partial owner, a 25% owner. And this new subsidiary will be in control of, and I have the article in front of me. I can't bring it up on the computer. But it will be in charge of Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six brands.
All the big ones, the big
Yeah,
money makers.
and they say that it's unclear even now, a couple days later, and even to employees, like what this actually means for them. Because the thing about Ubisoft is they've always spread development out over their entire group. So just because Ubisoft Montreal leads development of Assassin's Creed game, like 10 other Ubisoft studios around the world work on that game.
Right.
And so, what does it mean when Assassin's Creed gets put under this new subsidiary? We don't know. They don't even know. I don't think Ubisoft even knows.
This is essentially a way for the Guillemot family to jettison the pesky shareholders. Because the
Mhm.
shareholders that own stock in Ubisoft still own stock in Ubisoft. They do not own stock in this new subsidiary that no longer has the big money makers. This is as slimy a move as, and honestly, I can't believe it's not fucking illegal. It is such, I mean, I guess it's not illegal in France. I can't imagine that this would be illegal in the United States because essentially they're fucking over everyone who ever owned any stock in that company. And I would imagine there's probably going to be many, many, many lawsuits, many investor lawsuits about this. If I still own shares in Ubisoft, I would absolutely be filing motherfucking lawsuits left and right. So yeah, you because now this subsidiary is privately owned. There's no law, there's no pesky shareholders. If you don't like shareholders, what you do is you buy the stock back and take it private. That's what happened with Twitter.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, they've
that's the
said that.
legal way to do it. They're doing it the illegal, slimy, skeevy way. And Tencent, man, I don't know how I feel about Tencent being involved in this because this is shifty as fuck.
I mean, isn't this Tencent's MO? They're sticking to their MO.
I
But yeah,
don't
like
know.
all
Tencent
of the
doesn't
people.
seem to me like it's Tencent has never seemed to me as being an unscrupulous company. They've been very strategic and they're definitely a corporation. They're nobody's friend,
Well,
but
they
I
get
never
their
saw them as
hands are in a lot of
being
pies.
unscrupulous. Right, but they don't It's just, this is a bad look. Anyone involved in this looks bad, really, really bad. This is the kind of stink that doesn't leave a company and their reputation. You cannot hold yourself up as a respectable corporation and pull shit like this.
And I can't find the same article, but I remember reading that the details of this are the 25% that Tencent has invested in this new subsidiary. They are banned from increasing that for like 3 years.
Mhm.
So this is leaning into the like Guillemot power play.
Right,
This
right.
is to prevent Tencent from doing a takeover like with like what Sierra tried. Not Sierra. Was it Sierra?
No, it wasn't Sierra. It was
Ubisoft was fighting off a hostile
Eidos.
takeover from
No, it
another
wasn't
company
Eidos, was it?
years ago. No, the company's bankrupt now. The company's gone.
Yeah, no,
Um,
and Ubisoft went and bought a bunch of stuff from them. Who was it? I
yeah,
can't remember. Can anybody remember? I want to say it's It wasn't Eidos.
no. It started
I
with
want
an
to say
S.
this starts with an I.
No, it started with an S.
I'll have to
It's
look
like
this
a
up.
you'll look it
Man,
up. But yeah, in order to prevent a hostile takeover, in order to prevent putting Tencent in a position where they can do that, they have this rule that Tencent cannot increase their stake
Vivendi.
in the new subsidiary. Vivendi.
Vivendi.
Okay,
Yeah, that was
no,
the
no
I.
S.
There was an I. There was an
I
I.
was completely wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tencent can't increase its stake, so to prevent that.
right.
But also there was something, and I don't know the details. Like Ubisoft can't decrease its stake for a couple years as well. So like that's to prevent Ubisoft from basically just reversing this in a year or two.
Not Ubisoft. Guillemot family. This is different.
Oh, the
Ubisoft is
Guillemot
still
family.
right.
Okay.
And so Tencent, but what was the price on it? Like $1.25 billion. So essentially,
Yeah.
Tencent handed $1.25 $1,250 million
Yeah,
to
and
the
essentially
Guillemot
doesn't even
family,
have a name
and they
yet.
get to and they have 75% control of the company. This is the kind of like bad guys finish first things that just makes you feel sick to your stomach. And the thing is that the Guillemot family, not only are they shitty people, they're not very good at running a studio. They ran Ubisoft into the fucking ground. And they did it once, they'll do it again. They will absolutely fuck this company up because the Guillemot family is not good at their job. If they were, they wouldn't have had to do this move. They've ran Ubisoft into the ground, they wrecked it, and now they've moved on and somebody's rewarding them with $1 billion.
Okay. This is from Kotaku. Two key provisions in the new agreement are that Tencent cannot sell its 25% equity stake for at least 5 years, and Ubisoft may not cease to hold a majority of new subsidiary voting rights and share capital for a 2-year period.
So that doesn't say anything. That's a horrible deal. Like, we can't give up our majority share.
Yeah, we can't give up our majority share, and
That's not
Tencent
you.
cannot.
You want to keep your
Tencent,
majority share. That's like
so,
we can't stop breathing air.
so I was wrong. It wasn't that Tencent can't increase its stake; it's that Tencent can't sell its stake. So they
Yeah.
absolutely could buy more if Ubisoft, turns things around. Which, to be fair, Assassin's Creed Shadows, very good reviews. I'm actually looking forward to getting home and playing some of it. So
Mhm.
maybe things can turn around. And also, someone in the chat. Where's the chat for me? Chat's that way for me. No, Corey Wallace said, "Why is UB putting stuff on Rainbow Six Siege? They haven't put anything out since Siege a few years ago, but Siege is still doing really well. Siege is
makes
still
money.
like one of their big
Cash
playing
cows.
games. Yeah, one of their cash cows. So that's why. Although it'd be curious, like they talked about Rainbow Six, but what about Tom Clancy's other franchises? Does that mean that Rainbow Six has a franchise that's going to be governed by this new entity, but Ghost Recon is not?
Or the Division is not. The Division
Again,
is going to be
division.
left with Ubisoft.
with Ubisoft. Yeah, this new subsidiary doesn't even have a name at this point.
No.
So it's a very
We'll just call it
confusing
Shitheads
situation.
Unlimited. Shitheads Unlimited.
Ubi shit.
Yeah, UB shit.
UBS.
Yeah. Gil Monsters.
Ooh, that's good.
Thank you. Gil Monsters Inc.
No, because then I'm picturing Guillemot as like a cute, fuzzy. I just want to make gamers scream.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm glad that Chris worked for Embracer and not Ubisoft. Because man, think about how much it sucks for all the people working for Ubisoft that just got all of the good games taken away from them, and they know what this means.
But they
They're
didn't.
they're being kicked from the island.
But they
They're
didn't.
being
No,
jettisoned.
Edie, they didn't. Because, like, Ubisoft Montreal is the studio that makes a lot of Assassin's Creed games. They're not going to stop making Assassin's Creed games.
But they're not going to be Ubisoft Montreal. They're going to be
Why? Why?
They're going to be Gil Monsters Inc. Montreal.
Why?
Because they make Rainbow Six games.
But that doesn't mean that the studio has to rename itself. Everything is still under Ubisoft proper. That's what makes this so weird, is that everyone still reports to Guillemot. Like everything is still under Ubisoft. And it's not clear how does this impact development, because they they are working on, like, there are studios working on 3 Assassin's Creed games at this point, and like they're already prepping for more Assassin's Creed games.
No, they have to be. They have to be completely separate entities.
No, they don't.
If that was the case, then the investors would own a portion of this.
And maybe they do. I don't know the details of how that works out.
No, that was the whole thing. They want to get rid of the investors, these pesky people that won't let them do things that they want to. Then they have to report their information to, and they have to tell the truth to, or they'll go to jail.
I don't know.
Well, we'll find out more details as it goes along. But right now, this is a classic case of bad guys finishing first.
Okay.
This is a classic case of there is no God.
Let's have some good news. I actually didn't mention this at the top of the show, so there isn't a banner for it. Mm-hmm. But Game Informer is back.
Really?
Yes. Game Informer is back. The brand was bought by, of all things, a crypto game developer. It's a little iffy, but before you make that face, the website is back, and they hired everyone that used to work there. Every single person that used to be at Game Informer is back. Not only that, they wrote a bunch of articles, a bunch of reviews for games that came out between when Game Informer was shut down and now. So if you look at the website, it looks like it's been in continuous operation.
Oh, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Let me pull this up.
Yeah, Forget Your Life says details-free reporting. But no one has the details. We don't have the details. BBC doesn't have the details. I don't even think Ubisoft has the details.
Yeah, there it is. It's back up, and the reviews.
Yes. And so this is from the game developer that bought them is the game developer that Neil Blomkamp, the director. Like, I think he's on the board, or he started it or something like that. But yeah, see, scroll up. There was a Dragon Veilguard review. There's a Metaphor ReFantazio review.
Silent Hill 2, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah.
Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2.
And so they wrote all these in order to like backstop it, so that it doesn't look like it was all gone. So
yeah,
we can like look side eye at, okay, it's like a cryptocurrency game developer that bought this. How are they doing? I don't know. But you know what? Fuck it. Everyone got their jobs back. Game Informer is back. Let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. This is good news.
Yeah, it is good news. All right, that makes me feel better. I needed that. I really, really needed that after being frontline to, the destruction of family security. It's nice to see that sometimes good things happen.
Yes.
Sometimes there are saviors to bad situations like this, and that's really nice.
It does speak to like a grander problem with like reporting in general, is
Yeah.
that layoffs, because they happen in bulk, get reported on, but hiring happens at a much slower drip pace, and so you never hear about, oh, we hired 800 people back. It's like, no,
Mhm.
no one ever does that. And
Yeah.
so, like, you never get news about developers and publishers, hiring a bunch of people. You only get the bad news.
Mhm.
And that's kind of a problem overall with just like reporting itself. How do you report good news?
Mhm.
Right? How do you report something good that's happening slower over a longer period of time?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I'm not breaking any NDAs that one of the things that was told to at least one of the fired employees from Crystal Dynamics is that they are rehirable,
Hmm.
meaning that things might change. You might be hired back. It might be, I'm assuming that that's like, okay, that they realized they made a horrible mistake and they fired somebody that was a key member of this team, and they just screwed over everything and they didn't realize it. They could technically hire you back.
Okay, I have no inside information.
None.
We're going to fire these people to make our balance sheets look good for the end of the year. March is the end of the fiscal year. We're going to do that.
They
And
do it on the
then,
26th of March.
but then in April, hey, guess what? We're hiring. do you
Listen,
want to come
there
back?
was, I mean, I have no insight into this either, but it was not lost on me that this announcement was made on March 26th. And that the fiscal quarter does end on March 30th. And that, the fact that, I thought one of the reasons why I say wait 48 hours. Don't freak out just yet. We have no idea what might be in your inbox in the next week to 2 weeks.
Wait until April.
Yeah, wait until the end of April before, But honestly, here's another question. If you got laid off from a company like that to, obviously make that,
Yeah,
would you come back?
that,
It's a
that's
it goes
tough.
it's a
That's
lot like all of those people that were fired from the government offices, like the mass firing at places like NOAA and the Park Service. It's like now that you've wrecked that trust between your employees and your employer, they offer you your job back because they made a mistake. Would you take it? Because now that's like your girlfriend cheated on you and now she wants you back. And do you go back? I mean, you really loved that girlfriend and she realizes now that she made a horrible mistake, but that trust is broken. And you know that she might cheat before never occurred to you that she would cheat. Now you're always going to be wondering, is she cheating? And it's, I think, going to be very much for a lot of these people if they're hired back. I don't think that's the case with the Game Informer because obviously it is a whole new company that
Oh,
bought
yeah,
them and
yeah.
brings them back.
No,
But if
actually,
you're
we
rehired by your old company, do you come back?
briefly, Game Informer used to be owned by GameStop. GameStop was also in the news. We don't need a banner, but they closed like another couple hundred stores, and now they're investing heavily into more cryptocurrency. So GameStop is just steering into the slide.
Can I say cryptocurrency as a whole, right now, looking back at the last 10 years, 15 years that cryptocurrency has been around, possibly one of the worst things that have ever happened to world society. That it has changed so much and none of it is good. Absolutely none of it. It is cryptocurrency is now so much a part of just mainstream business decisions, and none of those decisions are actually improved by the presence of cryptocurrency. It just becomes a means for people to make terrible decisions and do terrible things like shut down your business so that you could invest in cryptocurrency.
Well, to be fair to GameStop, that's kind of all they have. They
You know,
got nothing
here's
else.
the thing, they could have something else, but their brain stopped at cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
Okay, what other banners
anyway,
did I have?
well, let's see. They've
What
got
was
that
it?
one.
What were the other
You talked about
stories?
no, no. I'll get to my next one.
Okay.
Okay, yes. So, Nintendo announced at a Nintendo Direct this last week a new app that is called it's called Nintendo Today, and it was right at the end of their Nintendo Direct where they announced this new mobile app that the company was launching that day, that gives users of the app information directly from Nintendo before anybody else gets anything, especially about Switch 2. Um, so yeah, you could essentially, scroll it, waiting for the new announcement, and all of their announcements about the Switch 2 are going to go to Nintendo Today first before they go anywhere else. That's going to be their main mouthpiece for Switch 2 news. And they said, the quote was, Shigeru Miyamoto in this announcement said, since 2011, Nintendo Direct has delivered Nintendo news directly to you, and now these presentations have grown into an event that many people watch. We'll continue to broadcast Nintendo Direct presentations, but we're also launching a new channel based on the concept of delivering information to you directly. He made some kind of hand gesture that made everybody freak out. Anyway, it's available on Google
Does
Play and the Apple App Store.
does Nintendo have enough news that they can justify a dedicated app?
Well, yeah, I mean, as stuff comes up, I forgot I didn't put this up
Like,
here.
granted,
As more
they've got
stuff
a
comes up,
Switch 2 big news coming out this year, but like, what about everything after that and in between?
well, conveniently enough, you have segued into my next connected thing. The next day, it was announced on Nintendo Today that there is a release date for the Zelda live action movie. Now, that was first revealed back in 2023. They have a full release date of the Legend of Zelda movie on March 26th, 2027. It's the only information that we have, no other information given. But they did announce that there. And I believe it was through Nintendo Today. Actually, it might have been through the Direct. I stand corrected on that. Is that they announced about this new. Yeah, this was on the Direct, not on the Nintendo Today app. But they did announce that they will do a new virtual game card system.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
So what this does is when you buy a digital Switch game and load it as a digital game card, that can be loaded onto a second Switch console as well. And you can lend out these games through this digital game card system to Switch family group members locally who are using it.
Yeah, so you have to be on the same Wi-Fi. So
Right.
that means that you do have to be in physical proximity. You can't lend it to someone far away.
Right.
But that does mean that like you can actually share digital games with other people. Nintendo has traditionally been like behind the times of online infrastructure.
Yeah.
But this is actually them ahead of the game. Like Microsoft and Sony don't have anything like this.
Yeah, well,
I
even
don't
just
think
just
I
the
don't
fact
think
that
they
you can put
want
it on
anything
2
like this.
switches. You can put it on 2 switches.
Yeah.
They don't even have that.
Although
You've
I
got a
guess
license for 2
didn't
consoles through that.
doesn't PlayStation have like some sort of family thing? Like if you if you were to log in to my account on your PlayStation and like switch that to primary, and then I switched it to like secondary, then we could like share some games.
Yes.
There's something like that.
Yes, there's some shenanigans that you can do to
Okay.
share it.
But it's not intuitive.
And I'm not saying that I ever did that with Chaos ever
What?
once. Never did it. Nope, never did it.
No.
It's my story and
Why
I'm
would you
sticking
deny
to
it?
it.
It's not illegal. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a feature on the system. They offer it. Taking advantage of it isn't
I
bad.
would call it an exploit, not
No,
necessarily
it's not an exploit. It's a
a
feature that they
feature.
offer.
Well, that's what Chaos and I did. And I think we may actually still be in that situation where my primary PlayStation is his primary. It could be. But anyway, yeah, so that's also something that came out of that Nintendo Direct, and kind of the most important thing. And it's kind of funny, they had this Nintendo Direct that had no information about the Switch 2, but only had information about how you're going to find future information about the Switch 2.
Yeah. I think they showed off a trailer for Metroid Prime 4, which was a big deal. Apparently, they had a trailer for something called Tamagotchi Life that like set the world on fire. It's like a 10-year-old game that hasn't done anything. I've
Mhm.
never heard of it before, but apparently it like the trailer set records in Japan.
Really?
So people are looking forward to it. But I have no idea what it is.
I agree. I like game sharing as well. I think that there's something very organic, even if it is through digital, about game sharing that goes back to the original zeitgeist of what games were, like sharing cartridges with your best friend. You let him borrow your game, he lets you, and that, like the kid across the street or your
Yeah.
best friend down the
And
street or your
the
next door neighbor,
good thing
the kids in the
about
neighborhood sharing.
And the good thing about this is I think it's like you can lend it out for 2 weeks or something. There's a time limit on it. So you can't get into the situation where, oh, I lent you that game 6 months ago. Do you still have it? Oh, I don't know. Do I still have it? I guess not. And then you move away and
And you
you
leave
can get
that
that game
cartridge
back.
behind. Yeah, yeah. How many friendships were broken by that? Forget Your Life says, starring Rachel Ziegler as Link and Gal Gadot as Ganondorf.
If
Oh
you
yeah,
want
I
to
also
swap, that's
did
what you
see the
do.
live action Snow White with Gal Gadot
Real?
as the evil
Now,
stepmother. She's very good as the evil stepmother.
really, I've heard like most people like she looks the part, but the moment she opens her mouth, they're like, oh.
No, I don't think so at all. I did not think so at all. But she definitely looks the part. But
How did you like it? I've heard it's very mediocre.
it's all right. It's mediocre. I
Okay.
think that Snow White, I forget her name. I can't
Rachel
remember.
Ziegler.
Not no. Oh,
Yeah.
Rachel Ziegler. Right. Rachel Ziegler. Yeah, Rachel Ziegler as Snow White actually was the weakest link, I think.
Literally every single review I've
Is
read
saying the
says the
opposite.
opposite, that
Yeah.
she is the one good part and that Godot is bad. Like
No,
you
no, I find the opposite. I actually liked Godot as the evil stepmother. I think she was very good in that. But um it's it was fine. And they
pissed.
sanitized. I mean, the Disney Snow White was sanitized, very much sanitized from the original Brothers Grimm fairy tale, which is way more fucked up than most of Grimm's stuff is all way
Oh
more
yeah.
fucked up than what Disney did. But the original Disney animation, they sanitized the Grimm fairy tale for that time. This uh this version is even re-sanitized from that. Like there's things in the original Snow White that are a little problematic, let's just say, um, that they have changed. So they've messed with the story even further. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Dopey. Actually, my favorite thing in the movie was Dopey. I really thought they were going to fuck up Dopey, and I think that they didn't. They actually made Dopey. They made Dopey really sweet. I really, really liked him, even though he's a
I
CG Dopey.
I don't remember anything about the characters.
Mm, you'll end up going, oh man, Dopey, you're so sweet. Oh, which is what you should feel for Dopey.
But yeah,
Should
Piss
have kicked that
says,
dude's ass, but chalk to me
no,
being.
no, back up a bit. He said, I
Oh.
lent out my Street Fighter 2 on the SNES and never got it back. Should have kicked that dude's ass, but chalked to me being too trustworthy. This would have ensured I got it back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
I
so.
lost out on The World Is Not Enough N64 game. Lent that to someone and then graduated middle school and went on separate ways and never saw it again.
Yeah. AC Wraith did link something called Snow White: A Tale of Terror. Oh,
I've seen that. Yeah, he says that one as Sigourney Weaver.
That's kind of messed up. Yep. So, yeah, Nintendo announces the digital game sharing. I think that I love the idea of digital game sharing, and I think that many of the big companies, the console companies, don't appreciate how it just feels good in your soul as a gamer to know that you could share your game with somebody. There's something that is inherent about the beauty and the joy of video games
Well, I
that
think it also
goes back
helps.
to the very beginning of sharing it with your friend.
It also helps to be able to try something before you
Right.
buy
Oh,
it.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I definitely think that I've seen a lot more demos of games come out this year because I think so many people are hesitant to jump on something new. They want to be able to know that this is good before spending the money on it. Like when I get back, I want to download the demo of the first Berserker Kazan because AC Wraith had mentioned it. I've seen streamers play it, and Andrew, Creation Chaos said that recommended it to me. So, but I don't know if I will like it because I've also heard that it's bloody difficult. So, I want to go and download the demo and actually see for myself. But
Right.
if it's good, I will get the game.
Yeah. Or, if a good game and you lend it to somebody and they don't bring it back, you buy a second one.
Yeah, well, not in this case, because in this case, it expires.
Yeah. Pist says I share my Xbox with my aunt. She ain't a big gamer though. I mean, my account. Her Xbox is my home Xbox. Yeah.
Nice.
Um.
Okay, what's
Yeah,
the
that's
next story?
kind of like the new one. All right, next story.
Yeah, there are like 20 minutes left before
Yeah.
I should bail.
Yep. You can go ahead and do one.
I don't have the list with me though. I need you to bring it up. Oh yeah. So Xbox was showing off some new interfaces and was like, "Oh look, we're looking to create a new PC interface for Xbox." And on that, well, it was a promo image that showed, "Oh look, the UI is going for Xbox is going to be the same on console, on PC, on mobile," and it showed mock-up images of these. And those mock-up images listed Steam games. Now, you can tell this is a mock-up because owned games appears twice. It goes recently added, installed, owned, Game Pass, Steam, owned, action. So clearly it's fake. It's a mock-up that's just meant to be an example. But if true, that means that at least on PC, Microsoft is going to try to create like an all-in-one place. And I think that's really interesting because a lot of the other that's kind of why the other launchers failed, right? Why Ubisoft's launcher failed, why Xbox launcher failed, why Epic is still spending hundreds of millions of dollars to try to get people into their launcher is because they're closed ecosystems. But if Microsoft can create like their and I don't want to say storefront because I don't think it's a storefront, but like their UI, and through it you can access all your Steam games. That's at least meeting people where they are, which is what you need to do when working in anything on the PC, anything gaming related on PC with Steam, because Steam is practically a monopolistic entity. Steam is PC gaming. You cannot do one without the other at this point. And so if Xbox wants to do anything on PC, they need to find some way to work with Steam and incorporate it. And if listing the Steam games does it, that's at least it's at least a middle ground.
It's always seemed odd to me that Microsoft, not just Xbox, but Microsoft has not embraced Steam, that they wanted to compete with them rather than work
Everyone
with
wants to
them.
compete with Steam. No one
Right,
wants to work with them because
right. And it's stupid because who Steam games, what do you play them on? Microsoft computers. That's what you do. You pay them on PCs. And that's Microsoft. They never really should have not been in bed together. And I could understand why Microsoft really wanted to own the whole thing, wanted to be, farm to table of games. But in this case, they really shot themselves in the foot because yes, they do have all of this Game Pass and all this, the PC game store and all of that. And that's great, but it's never going to compete with Steam.
but
Steam
because
will
Steam
always be, whenever anybody buys a game, they go to Steam. They don't go to Microsoft, unless, of
Steam
course, they
is
have
as
the
much
Game
a
Pass.
social network now as it is a storefront.
Exactly. And Xbox, I mean, the Microsoft Game Store is never going to have that. They're
Mhm.
never going to be social like that. So they really, it's almost like they wasted a lot of money
I
by
mean, every
trying to
company
own the
wasted a
entire
lot.
pipeline when they could have just partnered and owned most of the pipeline and just let Steam just, do what it does best, which
Yeah.
was sell games.
It will be curious to see how many people take advantage of it because I imagine a lot of those social network features on Steam won't be available through the Xbox UI. It would just take your games list. And is that enough to get people to switch over?
Maybe, maybe, I don't know.
I don't
But
know, but at least they are trying to meet gamers where they are and
right.
not trying to foolhardily own all the pipeline.
Yeah, it's a if it is, it's a pragmatic move that should have
Yes.
happened 10 years ago. Because then they could have been part of Steam and actually shaped Steam. Now they've allowed Steam, not this bad thing, that Steam to shape itself. And now they're coming late to the party.
I mean,
Whereas
what
they
they
could have
what
been
they
there
really
early
should
on.
be doing is working with Steam on a Steam Deck. Because the Steam Deck, doesn't that run Linux or does it run Windows?
That's a good question. Anybody in the chat room know what does Steam Deck run? AC Ray says, as a player, if there's an alternative to Steam and you don't need specific titles, as a developer, you're missing out on a lot of money. Yeah. The cat moved. Yes. Yes. Woody finally got up and moved. It's only took him what? How many hours are we into this now? Into this stream? Uh, we are an
Okay,
hour and
yes.
40 minutes into the stream. He finally moved.
The Steam Deck uses Steam OS, which is a Linux-based thing created by Valve.
Yeah. There we go.
So
Yeah.
yeah, what Microsoft and Xbox should be doing is working with Steam to create a Windows-based handheld because so many PCs are run on Windows, Steam
Yeah.
runs on Windows. Steam is the one at this point with the handheld, Steam is the one trying to control the whole pipeline by creating
Mhm.
something that doesn't have Windows, trying to break their reliance on
Right,
Windows.
right. And they could have been friends and now they're enemies. And it's a shame because they would have done a lot better collectively. Both of them would have done a
Yeah.
lot better. Microsoft would have spent a lot less money and
Like when I was looking
losing,
at
essentially.
when I was looking at other handhelds, I was leaning towards higher end handhelds. I was leaning towards the Rogue Ally because it runs Windows, which means I could run Steam games on it, but I could
Mhm.
also run all the emulated games I had already set up.
Right,
I could do everything. I can't do that on Linux.
right, right. So, yeah, I mean, this would be a good thing if Xbox just finally taking the L and making hay, making lemons out of lemonade. Using
Yeah,
using the most, honestly, one of the more compelling things about Xbox or about, yeah, Xbox right now is that if they did that, they would own the entire pipeline because everybody uses Steam. Right now,
yeah.
they're all siloed off to each
And
other.
the thing is, and I will say, I would love for Sony to make a handheld because I have a lot of games on PlayStation, and you know what? I enjoyed playing Dante's Inferno. I enjoyed playing God of War, but you
Right.
know what? I really want to play with all my time here and on the plane is Kingdom
Can you
Come
come
Deliverance.
Deliverance?
And if I could play that on a handheld
Yeah.
that would link to the Sony, it's like, oh, that's the dream.
If
That's the dream, baby.
if there was a PlayStation handheld right now, I would absolutely buy it because I can't really play my PlayStation. And I really, really want to play Kingdom Come Deliverance. I would
And you know
absolutely be playing it all the
the
time.
the frustrating truth is that maybe we just need to change platform because if we bought Kingdom Come on a PC, then I could play it at home and
Yeah.
I could have a PC based handheld and I could play it on the go.
Yeah.
So maybe I just need to switch to being a PC player, but I won't because I'm a stubborn bastard.
Right. And there, sir, is the reason why Microsoft should have partnered with Steam in the beginning.
AC
Right
Ray says
there.
Corey Wallace says buy a Vita, lol. And I'm not
I never bought a Vita.
I'm not going to
Is
buy a
Kelly still
Vita
there? I still
because
call the Vita a Vita.
I'm not going to buy a Vita because I've emulated the Vita on my own handheld. So I do have a Vita.
Oh shoot. What have I done? What have I done? I have done something. Mistakes were made. What have I done? Oh,
Did
hold
you
on a second.
disconnect the camera? Did you
I did.
unplug it?
I was trying to show you that Woody has returned and was standing
How
next to
did
me.
that disconnect the camera?
I picked up the camera and I don't know, it did something and now I have to get underneath the screen and underneath the unplug it and replug it back in again. I don't know.
Did you
What?
hit a button? Is there like a
No.
power button on the camera?
No. Oh,
How
wait a
did
minute.
how did lifting it 2 feet or
There we
like
go.
2 inches
I don't know.
pull the cable out? Oh, Corey Wallace says I still have my
There you go.
Lear and Dragon Age Origins.
So yeah,
Oh
the
man, you
cat
had
is back.
Dragon Age Origins on the Vita? Oh man, I need to go see if I could emulate that. Then
Dragon
maybe I
Age,
could get Dragon Age Origins on the Odin.
that would be
Ooh.
awesome. I would love to
But
play
then
Origins again.
AC Ray says hook up a PS5 to your monitor. But that means I still gotta lug the PS5 everywhere, and I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, no. I mean,
That thing is as unportable as you can possibly get.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's really kind of nowhere on this desk. I mean, I could put it here. I could absolutely put it here because what the monitor here is actually an OLED television. There are
Oh, I meant
so
for
many freaking OLEDs. I mean, there's OLEDs. Oh, God damn it. God damn it.
so he specifies I meant for
There's
Edie
so
to be
many
able to play at
OLEDs in
home.
this room. I mean, everything in the whole house is an OLED. They
Oh.
do not have a monitor. Everything in the house is OLED. So I could conceivably connect the PlayStation to this and have no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, he says if you want to play that bad, then suck it up and do it.
You know, I just have to do it. It says, no, they don't. I was making a joke of people saying wrong names of games and systems. If you want to play
Oh
that
yeah,
bad, then
Orange
just
is
suck
on the
up and do it.
meter.
Yeah, I should just suck it up and just, well, I would be playing it right now, but I've got this like pesky thing called a podcast that takes 2 hours, 3 hours of my life every Sunday.
I mean, that's really not that much.
No, but yeah. I mean, as soon as I'm off with here, I've
You could
got
just go
maybe
straight to. You could go to KCD2.
I
There's
could
nothing
go to
stopping you.
KCD2 for like an hour and then I got to make dinner.
No, you don't. You don't need to make dinner.
Dude.
That's just false obligation. You can just say fuck dinner. I'm gonna I'm gonna steal some bread rolls and this pear, and I'm gonna go kill some bandits.
No. I mean,
Dinner is for the weak.
if you'd have said a year ago that I would be cooking for a family and not getting paid to do it, yeah, I mean, this is definitely the week that I am definitely cooking for the family. Yeah, I'm trying to provide as much stability as
Yeah,
like
yeah, you're trying to support. That's fair.
some support as possible of like, hey, you don't have to go because he doesn't know how to cook. So for the last year and a half of his life, he has eaten fast food, the vast majority, well, pretty much entirely fast food every single night for almost a year before he met me. And I made their first like dinner that had been made in this house since before his wife got sick. So yeah, they've spent a lot of money on fast food 3 times a day for every single day, 7
3 times a
days a week.
day? That's a lot.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Fast food is filling. You don't you if you eat it for breakfast, you don't need it for lunch.
Yeah.
Stovetop stuffing.
Stuffed up, yeah. So I've
I haven't played AC Shadows because I'm in Florida, but I will when I get back.
Yeah.
And
Stovetop
anyways.
stovetop stuffing used to be delicious. It's not anymore. Now it's too salty. I don't know what they did to stovetop. It's not
Changed
as
the
good as it used to
recipe.
be. They did. Stovetop used to be like, oh God, I would eat stove. I would get myself a rotisserie chicken and a box of stovetop, and I would eat that all week because that's good stuff. But yeah, it's a thing. Anyway, um, he says it's time for that McCarthy cinnamon roll recipe, which I still haven't tried either. Yeah, I might actually try that. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you shoot me in the Discord? By the way, if you haven't joined the Discord, please do join the Discord. AC Wraith, can you shoot me in the Discord that recipe again? Because I just might endeavor to do that. I'm trying to, like I said, there is a kind of visceral feeling of warmth and support that comes from people cooking you meals. Like that feeling like somebody's got your back. Whether, it goes back to like our moms cooking for us or our dads cooking for us, our family getting together, that eating together, that making of food for someone is a very giving act to start with. But on top of it, when you receive it, there's something, spiritually supportive when you have somebody that makes a meal for you. And that's what I'm kind of trying to do, is do that for everyone in the house. And I mean, I've done it for the Chris for the last couple of days. Now I got to do it for the girl child, because she's about to find out that her father is unemployed. I don't know if that's going to upset her or not. I don't know if it's going to scare her or not. I will find out. And in the meantime, I will have cinnamon rolls to make them all feel better.
Cinnamon rolls and salads from here on out.
Oh, salads. If I could do a salad, they won't eat vegetables.
You can make like a salad with chicken in it.
No, they won't eat vegetables. Like, one of the things between Chris and me, a running joke, is that he loves Arby's and I refuse to step foot in
I
a
mean, he
Arby's.
is objectively correct, and you are factually wrong.
I don't care. I will not eat. I won't. I got me into, there was a moment where he was kind of like, he forced me into, it just was a situation where I was kind of boxed in and ended up sitting in an Arby's. And I was not happy.
You're taken hostage at an Arby's.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you. I did get the notification. I don't know if you heard it over the phone. I just get the notification that you did send that recipe. Thank you. But it's been a running joke. I'm like, God is my witness. I will never eat a beef and cheddar, ever eat a beef and cheddar. So I bought grapes.
So good.
Gross. I bought. It's a crime against humanity. Seriously, it's a war crime. It's gray. The meat is gray, and it's disgusting. It looks like a car accident without blood. It's just awful. It's just nothing.
Edie, that's why you put the sauce on it to mimic the blood.
Oh God. Anyway, so I actually sat here yesterday and I had grapes in my hand that I bought at Costco, and I was down to my last grape, and I was like, and I said, if you eat this grape, I will eat a beef and cheddar. Or I will I will eat something from Arby's. I didn't say a beef cheddar. I said, I will eat something from Arby's. And he's like, fries don't count. I'm like, no, I won't eat fries. It won't be fried. I don't, it may be a side, but it's not going to be fries. It's obviously going to be something more substantial. I wouldn't cheat you like that. All you have to do is eat this grape. One grape. And I will eat something from Arby's. He wouldn't eat a grape. He does not eat vegetables. So anyway, next item. We're running out of time. Let me get to the banners. Let's get to this one. Hogwarts Legacy expansion reportedly canceled.
Oh, yes. So, a couple days ago, when Warner Brothers Games went through its whole debacle, we heard that they shut down the studio that was making the Wonder Woman game. Apparently, within all that disaster, a expansion, like a lengthy, sizable piece of DLC for Hogwarts Legacy, was also canceled, which I think speaks to the level of debacle that was going on at that publisher, because, as you know, Hogwarts Legacy sold like
Oh, it's
gangbusters.
huge.
It was the best-selling game of that year. It beat Call of Duty.
Yeah.
To not expand on that speaks to like the level of out of touch and just complete
Almost incompetence.
mismanagement that whole publisher has gone through.
Okay. Yeah. So man, if anybody wants an IP, that's the IP to buy right there, because they're not doing anything with it.
I mean, Warner Brothers isn't going to sell Harry Potter.
No, I mean, God, it just Warner Brothers. I swear to God, it's their heads are so far up their fucking asses. Seriously,
Yeah.
they really are. I can't believe that shareholders will let them leave money, not just money, billions on the table. It just, I could run Warner Brothers better than Warner Brothers is being run right now. And I'm just a fucking idiot. I could do a better job.
Yeah. In the chat, AC Ray says there's no need for Harry Potter anymore. There's this. And then it took him a while to link to Secret Agent Wizard Boy and the International Crime Syndicate.
Secret Agent Wizard Boy and the International Crime Syndicate? That's fucking genius. That is awesome. Oh, by the way, I mean, on the downside of the small silver lining for all of us GameHounds listeners and GameHoundians, Ookie Bookie Spelookie has never been closer to actually being made than it is this week. There's actually been literal conversations that have happened in this room about what it would take to build Ookie Bookie Spelookie, because Chris made his own games for years. So Ookie Bookie Spelookie might actually end up being real.
Okay, also, apparently Secret Agent Wizard Boy in the International Crime Syndicate is in early access on Steam with 100% positive reviews. It's a purposeful like throwback to a PS1 style game, but people are praising the ragdoll physics and the funky spells.
Yeah.
But yeah, it currently has 98% positive rating, so someone didn't like it.
Yeah. But still, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, multitude of spells, wacky interactions. Someone described it as Harry Potter meets Goat Simulator.
Oh, I'm down for that. 100% down for that. This looks great. Anyway, so thank you for turning me on to that one. Next item is
Going off on another tangent. This is why we have 4-hour shows.
Yeah.
I mean, I should we should wrap it up now.
You should?
Okay.
Okay. Well, then,
Yeah,
you do this
AC
one real quick,
Shadows make
and
shrines.
I'll do my next one real quick.
Okay. Yeah, before AC Shadows came out, there was a bit of controversy. Some of it, a lot of it was, again, disingenuous because there was a right wing Japanese media person who asked the prime minister, "Oh, this new video game lets you destroy shrines. What do you think about that?" And the prime minister said, like, "Yeah, that's bad." Not talking about the game, just saying in general, destroying shrines is a bad thing. That created a whole negative press thing around Ubisoft again. Uh, and so there was a day one patch that made the shrines in the game indestructible, which not that big of a deal overall, but again, it's just kind of points to one of the many ways that the right wing trolls have tried to use disingenuous arguments and criticism to try to hurt the game.
Right, because it's got a girl in it
And a black guy.
and a black man. Anyway, all right, my last item is on the fun side. So GDC was last week, and of course, there's always great things that are said in these workshops and these symposiums at GDC. Well, one of them that they had was there was an appearance by the creative director of Helldivers, Johan Pilstedt, and he was talking about, I mean, it's an interesting thing if you think about Helldivers. It's kind of set in this like fascist dictatorship, sort of this military fascist state, and apparently he mentioned that he was asked at one point by the United Nations to possibly give a talk about psychological manipulation. Here is his quote. And this was part of his GDC presentation that was named Helldivers 2 Capturing Lightning in a Bottle. He said, "What is Helldivers 2 fundamentally? It would probably be fun to play a co-op action shooter where you're put in the shoes of the evil side grunts of pop culture. We asked ourselves, could we brainwash an entire community to fight for a fascist state? Would they? Would they be okay with that?" And it turns out, actually, yeah, they would. We do it all in fun and in good spirits. We actually try to get people to recognize the science of what a totalitarian state is. If you start wearing the same uniform as everybody else and do salutes constantly, you might be in a totalitarian regime. Then he also said, actually, we got a message from the UN asking if we want to talk in some form about psychological defense against manipulation. He didn't elaborate on it other than that. But it is kind of interesting that you think about Helldivers as being a fun game, but when you take a step back, he's right. This game kind of manipulates you into playing to support a xenophobic to totalitarian fascist regime.
Yeah, it does.
And manipulates you into doing it, and manipulates you into cosplaying it to the point of where people were playing bugs in order to like stir up stuff on Reddit. So yeah, and I just think that would be a very, very interesting talk from Helldivers, from the guys that came up with, this was our intent. We asked ourselves, could you do it? And we did it, and this is how. And this is what probably people could have done to not have it happen. I would very, very much like to hear a paper, if not a talk, to read a paper on that.
Yeah.
So, do you feel
I-
a little manipulated now by Helldivers?
I mean,
that
no.
was a conversation they had when they made it. If can we make you support
I
and
mean,
enthusiastically play for a totalitarian regime?
I always knew that Super Earth is an authoritarian fascist government. Like that's obvious from the get-go.
Right.
It's just that they play it for humor. And
Mm-hmm.
so and because they don't focus on the politics, they focus on like any war movie talks about, it's not the politics you're fighting for, it's the guy next to you.
Yep.
It's your brothers in arms. And that's what they focus on. And by making that the focus and the fun, they can make you play for whatever political reason you want, but you will because the guy you're fighting next to is fun to fight next to.
Yep. Yep.
But I also have
Absolutely.
another fun story from GDC that I just saw this morning. This was from Monica Harrington, who used to work at Valve. And she's talking about how early on, they could not get people to buy Half-Life. It's like, man, this game has all these good reviews and it's been well received, but nobody wants to buy it. Like, how can we change that? One of the things they did, and this is something you can now blame Valve for.
Mm-hmm.
They slapped the Game of the Year sticker on the box.
Oh, really?
And that helped the sales of the game. That helped boost the sales. And here I can hang up. I can show the difference in box art between the two versions.
Mm-hmm.
On the I don't know what you're seeing, but the original box art was the plain one, and
Mm-hmm.
then they put Gordon Freeman on the cover, and they slapped that big yellow Game of the Year sticker on.
Were they Game of the Year, or did they just make it up?
I think they made it up, but also at that point, the game had come out. I don't know if it had been out for a year, but the game had come out. It got a lot of good reviews, so it wasn't like a
It wasn't
stretch.
right.
It wasn't a stretch. It may not have been 100% accurate, but
It was
like
plausible.
it's like, let's be honest, someone's going to name this Game of the Year. And like now you have games that
Talk
stick
about
a Game of the
manipulated.
Year. Now you have games that come out, the Game of the Year edition. It's like, is that really a Game of the Year edition? Who named that Game of the Year that you could justify a Game of the Year edition?
Will you ever trust that sticker again? Will you ever not look at that sticker and remember that Half-Life 2, they slapped it on there in order to boost
Half-Life
sales?
1.
Half-Life 1,
Original
sorry.
Half-Life 1.
Half-Life 1.
I mean, now whenever you see a game advertising Game of the Year edition, do you think, yeah, that was Game of the Year? Or do you think, who gave it Game of the Year?
Whose Game of the Year? Yeah, really, you know
Yeah.
what? We should just send out stickers to the companies of games that we really like the company that made Pentiment, and I absolutely loved Pentiment. We should just send them a roll of stickers that says GameHounds Game of the Year and just say, "Hey, put those on your boxes."
Yeah. Ookie Bookie Spooky put a sticker in big bold letters, Game of the Year. Above it, in tiny little font, barely perceivable, the letter A. A,
Hey,
Game of the Year.
One of many games of the year.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's an awesome story. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
love about GDC is that GDC, this is where, it's developers talking to developers. And this is
Mhm.
where a lot of like these little stories come out where, this is how shit happened.
Yeah, and I think now it's been long enough that they're starting to write up stories, and so I haven't read articles, but there are other articles about Metaphor ReFantasio, someone talking about real Steam, about how there's Steam, and then there's Steam with the daily deals,
Mhm,
and you want to get your game into the daily deal section because that's real Steam.
mhm.
I haven't read anything beyond the headline,
Did I
but
tell
like
you about the
now I've
little
got more
story
information.
that Chris told me and I can't remember the name of the game? I wish I
What
could.
story?
So he was working on a game many, 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 many years ago at EA, and I cannot remember the name of the game, but his boss kept complaining that the game was too difficult because he couldn't get through it. And everybody else that was, the QA testers had no problems getting through it. It was hard, but it wasn't horrible. They all managed to do it. But his boss couldn't. And his boss kept on coming in saying, you have to turn down the difficulty on this game. So Chris added a little bit of code in there. So the guy's name was like, I can't remember. It was like Billy Joe Bob. And his username was BJB. Chris put a little bit of code in the game that it would be exactly the same difficulty unless your username was BJB. And then it would turn down the difficulty. And that shipped, and it is still shipped like that.
Oh, interesting.
It's still in the game. They
Oh, you gotta find out the
released the
name of
game
that
like that.
game.
Yeah,
You gotta find out
yeah,
what game that was.
yeah, yeah. I'll tell you. I'll tell you as soon as I did find it. He told me this a couple of different times, but I can't remember what game it was.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go get ready for dinner.
Okay, you do that. Let's close this out.
Yes. Yes, and thank you,
Hold on.
AC Wraith, for all the links to the GDC stuff.
Very much so. Thank you. Do me. Can you do the links and pop them up there while I'm doing the outro music?
I'm a guest in this. I got nothing. I have no
Fudge.
power.
All right, all right, all right. So let's close this out. You've been
Why'd you say it
listening.
again?
You've been listening to GameHounds episode 777. This we recorded this on Sunday, March 30th, 2025. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola. Ways to get a hold of us: GameHounds.net is our website. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We recorded this live. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on Facebook, on Twitch, and on YouTube. On Facebook, we are the GameHounds, facebook.com/GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS, as in videos, all one words. And on Twitch, we are the GameHounds. So if you want to find us there, please do. We do also record this release this as an audio podcast on Apple Podcasts. If you're listening as an Apple podcast, please leave us some feedback. It is important for us to know. It's also important for others to remember that we are still out there, still doing this podcast. So please leave us feedback there. What else? Am I forgetting? Oh, hey, if you are not a Patreon subscriber, please subscribe to our Patreon. Our Patreon, if it wasn't for you guys doing it, it really, really would be a little bit more challenging. $1 a month is all we ask to help us pay. We're not looking to get rich on this. We're just looking to pay for some of the services that we have to pay for in order to do this. So if you can be a patron for our podcast, we would love it. Patreon.com/GameHounds in order to do that. And I'm trying to get that thing off the screen and I can't. All right, there we go. What else? Our Discord. Hey, if you haven't joined our Discord, please do so. Oh, there's our Discord information. Our Discord information is down there, right there. If you are listening to the show, go to any of those locations: Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. It's in the description. It's also in the description of the podcast itself on Apple Podcasts. Please join our Discord. That's where Nick and I and everybody else are talking to each other. That's where AC Ray sends me his cinnamon roll recipes. Lots of great stuff happens in there. So please join our Discord. And of course, if you're listening right now, please like, subscribe, whatever it is, mash that thumbs up button. Final reminder, we are going to be dark for the next 2.
Edie, are you there? Hello? Oh, we made it this far. I mean, I guess if there's a time to crash, this is it. Edie? Did she unplug? I mean, clearly she didn't unplug the camera again. She's dark now? Okay, I see it. I see it as frozen. Frozen with her going like... Okay, well, we're still up. Clearly she hasn't unplugged the camera. Yeah, thank you. Oh, okay, there she goes. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for putting up with my terrible audio and awkward camera angle. Yes, she said dark for the next 2 weeks. She won't be here. We won't have a podcast for the next 2 weeks, but I will be streaming some VR games on Twitch through the PlayStation VR. And let me know if there's a VR game you want to see me play. I'm thinking about playing a game called Red Matter 2 or Resident Evil 4, the remake in VR. Those are the two that I'm leaning towards. So, yeah. Now the stream will never end. Well, I'm going to leave the studio, and that will probably end it. And if it doesn't, 24-hour stream. Take care. Bye.
Hey, everybody. Internet went down at my place and Nick cannot end the show. This sucks. So I don't know if Nick mentioned it to you, but no show the next 2 weeks. The next show we will be having is, let's see, I'm going to be gone the 6th. The next show we're going to have is on the 20th of April. So everybody have a great month, I guess, almost 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So take care of yourselves. Thank you for being patient. If you're still here, I still see that there's 2 people in the chat room. So that's awesome that you're still there. But thank you so much. And we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. And if you have anything that you want me to convey over to Chris, condolences, whatever, send it on Discord, because from the looks of things, I'm still functionally homeless and living here. So see you, everyone. Bye.